What is up, guys? So today we're going to talk about the court system, what it's like going through the court system when you're rattling from drugs, when you're a heroin addict, you've been in the cells for a couple of days, so you've not ate, you've not slept, you've got a headache, you feel sick, you're scruffy as out, your hair's all over, and then you've got to go to court, and then they come and grab you, take you to the court, you're sat underneath the court all day. And then you have to go up the stairs, go into the court, you walk out, everybody's clean and fresh, and you're sat there rattling in a broken mess, and it's horrible, it's treacherous. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Unfortunately, I've been through the court system so many times. I don't want to over-exaggerate it, but if I say more than 100 times, it's probably way more than that. Because I was a heroin addict, and when you're an addict, you need money all the time. So I would go out shoplifting, I would go out stealing from buildings, commercial buildings, try and get laptops, computer screens, all that sort of stuff. So I've been through the system. Now, the best thing to do when you get to the police cells is go to sleep. But if you're a heroin addict, if you're lucky, you'll get up in the morning. Let's say this would be an average day for me. I get up in the morning, have a boot, which is use heroin, chase the dragon, and then I would go out shoplifting. And if I got caught then I'd be all right, because I'd still have heroin in my system. I could get my head down in the cells, and it'd go as fast as what it possibly can. But if I go out in the morning, can't get any money, and then it goes into the afternoon, and then I'm stealing in the afternoon, and I'm just starting to detox, then you get caught. Then it's a whole different ball game, because you can't sleep. So you're in the cells all day, suffering all day, and then you're up all night, suffering all night, so it feels like twice as long, it's 2 days feels like 4 days. And when you first get there, this is why I can't stand being called Ian. I fucking hate it, because they always used to do the same thing. They'd come over, they'd say, "Oh, come on then, Ian." They all called me Ian, and they'd say the same things. They'd charge me, say, "Right, come on then, Ian, we're just going to pop you down for 10 minutes. I'm like, fuck off, I ain't going to be in there for 10 minutes. I'm going to be in there for 2 days, And they would keep me, say they got me at 9 o'clock in the morning, they would keep me till, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then they would interview me, then they would charge me, then they'd interview me, then they'd put you back in the cell, and then you'd be sat for another hour. And then they'd take you up to the desk and say, "Right, you're being charged. We're not going to bail you because of your previous conviction, so we're going to keep you to the next available court, which will be tomorrow morning." So then they put you back in the cell, and then you're there till tomorrow morning, and you're up all night, puking. Oh, man, it's miserable. And then the next morning, when the group 4 come, it's like, thank God, let me out of this fucking cell. The group 4 would come, you can hear the handcuffs clicking, you're like, God, get me out of here. And then they'd come in, handcuff you, they'd take you underneath the police station to the courts, and then they'd stick you in the courts, and you'd have to wait there. And then your solicitor would come, maybe an hour later, you could have a coffee while you're waiting. And then, you'd have a word with solicitor. I had Mr. Hennis the whole way through, Atibauer and Jones, I don't know what they're called now. And then you'd talk to your solicitor, and he'd say, "Oh, they're going to oppose bail, you're going to prison." I'd be like, yeah. And then they'd put you back in the cell, and then you'd just wait to go up to court. And then eventually, the phone would ring, the group 4 would come, they'd get you, and then they'd take you all the way up the stairs, and then you'd be sat outside the court there's a little light, and you have to wait while they just finish up the last person in court, and then he'll go, and then the green light will come on, and you'll come out, just as it's finishing. And then you're sat in front of everyone, everybody looks clean and fresh and nice, and you're just I always tried to make myself look as miserable as possible so that they'd feel sorry for me, but it never really worked. And it doesn't matter how many times you go to court, it still get that feeling like you need a crap, because you're literally shitting yourself because you've got to go to court. And even if you're getting remanded, it's still a sinking feeling when they say, "Yeah, you're remanded, so take him down." And then you go back downstairs, and then you go back in the cell, and you sat around waiting. And then if you're lucky, you get on the 1 o'clock bus to the prison, Otherwise, if you have to wait till the 5 o'clock bus, if you miss that, because you might be up in court in the afternoon, and then if you get the afternoon bus, they'll take you over at 5 o'clock. Then there'll be a big queue because all the other prisons, all the other courts have sent their prisoners to this prison. So you could be stuck in a sweatbox, and a sweatbox is, the best way to describe it is take everything out of your fridge, sit in your fridge and you shut the door. That's what it's like being in a sweatbox. Now imagine being in that sweatbox and you're rattling from drugs, so you're aching all over, you're sick, your fucking head hurts, you know, you can't get comfy, you're twitching. Oh mate, it's horrible. And imagine being sat on there for like 2 hours while you get into the prison. Fucking miserable. And then when you get into the prison, you have to sit down, reception, and everybody's, you know, there'll be a couple of yous rattling from drugs, all scruffy and miserable. And then they'll have all the people that have come back from the prison. They've all got nice clothes on. They're all bouncing around. You've got to sit there all day, and then eventually they'll take you up to the wing, and that's when you're going into the prison. So it's a right job just to get there. And some of the people that you meet underneath the courts, they used to put you all in one cell, so you could sit, have a smoke, and chat. But they don't do that now. They put you in individual cells. And some of the people what you meet, if you're lucky, like I got lucky a couple of times, not many. If you're lucky, you'll get somebody who's got some drugs on him. I remember a kid called Jimmy. I'm not going to say his second name, but as I always say, he's dead now. He died a while ago. He was mad and all, Jimmy, absolutely mental. And in fact, just while we're there, I remember the first time I met him. We was outside of a pub in Doncaster drinking, you know, we was all talking, and there was a big group of lads who were getting a bit leery. And Jimmy, on his own, he just ran over and fucking steamed into him and started fucking fighting with all of them on his own. And then all us lot had to jump in then. There was a big like gang fight in the streets. But he was mad, absolutely mad. He wasn't scared of anything. And I remember he came in once, because I used to live with him. I let him stay with me for a while, him and his missus. I think she's still going, I'm not too sure. But yeah, he brought some drugs in, but obviously you can't get foil, you can't get needles. I've never used needles, but underneath the court you can't get foil, you can't get needles. All you can get is like Rizzlers and tobacco. So what he did was he pulled his gear out, and he got me in on it. He said, "Dude, I want some of this." I fucking put it in a roll up, rolled it up, and just smoked it, and it worked as well. I thought, there's no way that's gonna take my detox off, because I was rattling pretty hard. I'd been in the cells for 2 days, so I thought this is not gonna do out. So puffing away on this roll up with some heroin in it, and it took it off. You know, I thought, wow, that's all right. And there was another time as well when we were down there. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this is how fucking crazy it was. We was all just sat there, and there's like a bench what goes all the way around, like a wooden bench, a big room, and then there's bars there. And we're all just sat there miserable as fuck. And then he just jumps up to stand on this bench, and all of a sudden he just goes running up and volleys this kid straight in the face, and just set about him. And apparently they had beef on the street. I don't know what it was over. But it was just so random, you know, and just sat there, and then boom, there's a fucking guy getting smashed to bits on the floor. So yeah, if you're lucky, you'll find someone who's got some drugs in. And I've even done it myself a few times. I remember once I had a load of Subutex round my waistband. It was the old Subutex as well, the ones where you get a real good buzz off them. Nowadays they're totally different, but back then if you snorted one of these subbies, you'd be off your head for like 24 hours. And I had a load of them around my waistband, so I've gone down there, and I was only in for like I think I got caught with a tenner bag or something, so I was getting bail. And then this other kid was sat there, and he was miserable, he was gutted. Oh, fuck's sake, I'm gutted, I've got to go to jail. And I says, well, I felt sorry for him, you know what I mean? I says, I'll tell you what, here's some subby. And I give him about 6 fucking Subutex, 8 mils as well, what had lasted him probably about a week. He was buzzing, man, he was delighted. See, I always used to take Valium around my waistband, because you can't take heroin, because if you've got it on the street, you'll just smoke it. I have took heroin in before. I remember once when I was due in court, and I thought I was only getting like a fine, or, you know, I didn't think I was getting jail at all. It's one of the few times I went to court from the street. And anyway, I'm sat waiting for court, and I had a .4 on me. So I've gone down in the courtroom toilet, smoking away, and I saved like a little bit, maybe half a bag. I thought, I'll save that for later. And then I got remanded, or I got sentenced to like 28 days or something. I was like, no way, I couldn't believe it. I had this bit of gear behind my foreskin. And I was gutted, because I've got like a 2-week rattle to come now, detoxing for like 2 weeks, just for some silly little sentence. And I remember when I got to the prison, they put me in the cell with a fucking tax man, one of the most horrible cunts you can meet in Doncaster. And I got put in a cell with him. I thought, I'm not bringing my gear out around him, because he'll just fucking rob me or something and beat the shit out of me. So I had to sneak around the wing in Doncaster and find somewhere to do this gear away from him. So I went into the broom cupboard to start with. And I sat in there, but everybody was out of the cell, so there was people coming around every 2 seconds. I've got this bit of foil, got this lighter, and I couldn't do it in there, you know. I managed to get a little bit, and I just thought, I can't do it here. There's people coming and going all the time. So I went upstairs into the toilets upstairs. You're not supposed to go in those toilets and showers, because it was for the cleaners, apparently. And you get knobheads in prison, they think it's their fucking wing, you know what I mean? Oh, you can't go in them showers. I was like, fuck off, dickhead. So I went up into these showers, and because nobody was coming up there, because you're not allowed in there, and I was sat there puffing away on this gear, and then one of the cleaners came in. I was so ill, you know, I was fucking sweating like fuck, I was bright red, I was like, and this cleaner come in, I looked up like that, and he went, fucking hell. And he turned around and fucking walked back out. So I managed to have a little bit of gear. and I was alright for that one night. The next morning I'd have been in bits, but I remember I was laid in my bed, and this fucking big hard, supposed to be tough guy tax man, he was laid on his bed crying like a little girl. And I was alright, you know, because I was chilled, because I had that bit of gear, and he kept saying, oh Paddy, please talk to me, Paddy, don't leave me. I'm thinking, this is a fucking big hard man, tax man from Donny, and he's on his fucking bed crying like a little girl. But yeah, that was one time when I had a bit of gear what I took to the prison with me, and you meet some proper characters under there. I was always remember one guy, he was a YO, and for some reason YOs walk like fucking, they do the crip walk when they walk, you know, they've got like hand down the pants and they limp. It looks ridiculous. I think I even did it myself, because you get caught up in the YO mentality, the prison mentality, and you start even talking like a prisoner, acting like a prisoner, acting out against the guards. You know, you have to become like, when in Rome, do what Romans do. And there's one guy, and his walk was like legendary. It was like a crip walk, man. We was all sat there talking underneath the court, laughing and that, and he come walking past, and he was like proper like pimp walking. He must have thought it looked like a right bad man, but he just looked like he looked like a right crank. And and as he's walking by, we all just stopped talking, like looked over at him, and he was walking past like that. And then as soon as he'd gone, we just burst out laughing, like, what a muppet. But yeah, you meet some characters down there. I remember my mate's dad, and he was, obviously I'm not going to say his name, his dad's dead now, and he was one of those old timers that had been through the system. He's been through the Borstal system, which is proper hardcore jail, you know, especially back then, you know, with YOs. Borstal jails were rough. Just watch the movie Scum, that'll show you what it was like. And I've not been in a Borstal, but I went to an open prison that was run like a Borstal, so I had a bit of experience with the regime, but not the violence. It was real violence. The screws used to batter the inmates and everything. Really racist, bad place in Borstal. What was that on about? Oh yeah, my mate's dad. He was he'd been through the Borstal system. He'd done a bit of jail before they had toilets in the cell, and he used to slop out in the buckets. And he was always saying, oh yeah, it was fucking easy time. You know, I did it standing on my head. And he was always flexing like that. And then he had another court case coming up, and it was only something stupid like selling fags or selling cigarettes or something like that. and they'd give him like community service, and he'd not done it, and then they'd give him a fine, he'd not done it, they gave him probation, they gave him everything other than jail, and he just weren't doing it. And then he had another court appearance coming up, and he was saying, he knew there was a little chance he could go to jail, and he was saying, if I get remanded, I'm not bothered, I'll just do it on my head, I'll do it on the toilet. Don't bother me, I've been through the system for years. And then when he was in court, I was in court, I got caught shoplifting that same day, and they brought me up from underneath the courts. He'd come in off the street, so they brought me up just as his was finishing, and the green light comes on. You sit outside until this light comes on, and I didn't even know he was in court. So the lights come on, they've let me in, I've come in, I saw him, I thought, fucking hell. And he was just getting sentenced, and they were saying to him, and then the security come from the back. I thought, fucking hell, he's getting locked up. And he said, yes, Mr. So-and-so, we're going to give you, you're not complying, we'll give you every chance, and you're just not doing it, so we're going to give you 28 days in prison. I can't remember what it was, but it was only a short sentence. And he, as soon as he said that, he said, take him down. He went, oh, he fucking nearly passed out and grabbed hold of the banister. And the security, group 4, had to come and drag him off the banister, and he was grabbing hold of it, saying, no, I can't, you can't take me, I can't. Fucking dragged him off, he was kicking and screaming. I thought you were going to do it on your head, mate. You know what I mean? But he was just giving it the big licks. And I never told him, because he didn't know I was there, he didn't even see me. And I never did tell him that I saw him that day, but I did see him, and he nearly passed out. It was so funny. He said, 28 days, take him down. And he just went, oh. I was laughing me head up. There was another time as well when I was up in court, because what they usually do is, you'll be stood behind the glass if you come up from the cells, and then the prosecution will come up, your solicitor will come up, and the prosecution will put their argument forward and say, look, we don't think he should have bail. I mean, he's offended on bail, he's up for, he'll tell you all his previous, and they'll put their case on why you should go to prison, and then your solicitor will come up and he'll put his case on why you shouldn't go to prison. And like I say, I always had Mr. Hennis, he was alright. I also had another guy, I can't remember his name, he was funny as well, this other solicitor. I remember once down there, he come to see me in the police cells, you know, and we had a chat. And he says, well, you know, you're going to have to go guilty. You've been caught. I was like, yeah. And then at the end he says, so have you got any questions for me? Other than, have I got any heroin in my briefcase? And, you know, it just made me chuckle. And then he was a good solicitor. And there was another one called Miss Dudley. She was terrible there. People say she was good, but won't with me. She fucking came down to see me. And then she went up, and I'm sat there waiting to go to court. And it's like 6 o'clock at night. I'm like, what's happening here? And she come back down. She says, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot all about you. I had to go back to the cells fucking all night. So, yeah, I've always had Mr. Ennis. He always puts his case forward. He was really good for me anyway. And I was up for a shoplifting. I'd already been caught. I'd already offended whilst on bail. I was out on bail. And then I got caught again, shoplifting. So I'm in court. I'm thinking, right, I'm going to prison now. They've already given me bail. I've breached my bail, and I've got another charge. And the prosecution's come forward and says, yeah, Mr. Paddy's breached his bail, but we're going to ask for another bail with more conditions. I thought, what are you on about? I've got another charge. And I looked at my solicitor, and he went like that. I thought, huh? And then the judge says, yeah, okay, we're going to give you bail with these 2 conditions, not to enter the town centre shops or whatever. And I thought, there's no way they're going to let me out. I mean, they didn't even mention this charge, what I've got, the new shoplifting charge. They must have messed up my paperwork. I don't know what they did. But I got all the way down, and even Group 4 says, how the fuck you done that? I said, I don't know, mate. I've got down, and then they give me my stuff back. And I said, right, go on then. And what they used to do is open the gate. You'd go through the gate, come up the stairs, and there would be a door there. And then they'd shut that gate, and then they'd open that door with a button. And I'm thinking, there's no way. When I go through this door, there's going to be coppers there, you know. There's no way they're going to let me out. And I've opened the door, and there's no one there. I thought, fucking hell, I've just fucking gone running out. And I had some money for some gear as well. So that's obviously my first thought. I've got to get some gear. I'm rattling bad. I can fucking hardly walk. I'm like, ugh. So I've gone and got some gear, and I was just looking for somewhere to do it. I nicked a couple Milky Bars for the foil, and I just walked into the first business I could find, found a toilet, sat down, I was like, having a boot, and it's beautiful. It's the only time I really enjoy using heroin, is when you've been in the cells for a couple of days, you're rattling really hard, and then you get your gear, and it's like a magical potion. It's like when Popeye eats his spinach and all his muscles come back, headache goes away, you start getting hungry again, you just go back to normal. And it's a beautiful feeling. So I sat there booting away, and there was a coat hung up. I was like, fucking hell. I checked the pockets, and there's a wallet in the pocket. I pulled it out, cash card with the PIN number. I was like, no way. It's my lucky day. So, but I needed to do my gear, so I put it back in the pocket just in case somebody came in. And I finished my gear, and like 10 minutes later, and I fucking jumped up like Popeye, like ready, like, let's go. Grabbed this wallet, and I thought, there's no way that PIN number's going to work. So I've gone to the college. It's not a college anymore in Doncaster. It's like some sort of place where they do like pantomimes and stuff. But it used to be a college with a cash point on the front. So I've gone up, put it in. I thought, there's no way this is going to work. And it worked. I was like, no way. So I got 300 quid. Went round the corner, got another 300 quid. And I know now that it was like an open credit card, because it was a business card. So you could like withdraw as much as you want. They didn't have no limits on it. So I fucking got a right wedge of money. And I went to where I was staying with my girlfriend, and she didn't even come to court. She didn't do nothing. I thought, you fucking bitch. So I thought I'd test her. You know, I went back, and I had this big wedge of money in my back pocket. And I says, oh, I'm fucking rattling. I says, are you going to help me out? I fucking feel like I'm dying here. And she was in bed. She went, fuck off. And I said, come on, I'm rattling here, and you're going to help me? And she said, no, leave me alone, I'm knackered. And I thought, right, fuck you then. So I pulled this big wedge out. Probably shouldn't have done it. Went and bought loads of crack, loads of smack, and just sat blazing it in front of her. You know, to like teach her a lesson. And then I give me mate this card. I says, fucking get this, send some money, mate. It's an open credit card. And he's gone off and got caught with it. Fucking got locked up. Fucking bellend. And yeah, then I ended up sharing it with her in the end. But it just did my head in, because she wouldn't do nothing, you know. She's just laid there like, leave me alone. Like, fuck you then, you bitch. I'm going to smoke all this myself. But anyway, yeah, that's just a few people that you meet underneath the court system, going to court. I remember once as well, fucking weird day. I went to court. I got charged with, I can't remember what it was, like common assault on a police officer, because I was drunk in the town centre, and there was a woman copper, and I was like drunk as fuck, like, I grabbed her in the headlock and get her a nuggie, and just fucking stumbling about like a drunken idiot. And they locked me up for like common assault. And then I went to court the next day, and the court sentence was I had to stand at the back of the court. That was my sentence. So I just had to stand at the back of the court. Well, sit. I just sat at the back of the court for the day. That was my sentence. I was like, there's a fucking point in this, but I suppose because I was only young, there was like showing me the ropes and what not to do and all this sort of stuff. But I've never heard of that before. Sentenced to stand at the back of the court. But anyway, I've rambled on enough. That's the video for today. So if you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't go to court because it's rubbish. Bonjour.